All right, so what's up, everyone? We want to introduce you to one of our amazing close friends. Honestly, we love her to death, and we hanged out a couple times, and actually a lot more than a couple times, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to introduce you guys to Casey Martin in the flesh here in the studio.
Loves it.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We're so excited. Yes. I think we should start off with something that we want to talk about. You inspired us so much. Was your book that you recently released. We were so excited about this, especially Eli.
Especially me. Especially me.
Those gains.
Yes, right. The gains. Yes. And honestly, Eli has been working in this area of his life for a long time.
Just say working in the booty.
Yes. the booty gains. And, he basically wasn't really able to, get these gains until you sent us your book. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. So like,
I'm flattered to hear that.
Yes.
I mean, you look good. So
there you go.
I can't take much credit, but
the Glute Bibles. And literally we want, our audience to know like what inspired you to be able to be brave enough to like write this book, because we've been always wanting to write a book and we still haven't done it, So like what pushed you to do this,
Gosh, for me, I think I was a personal trainer for many years. And so I was working with clients one-on-one. And there's something really amazing about that, because you get to like see people's transformations and like see how you're really affecting their life in a positive way. But at some point that became a little overwhelming because you're really on other people's time. And so at some point I kind of outgrew that, and I wanted to reach a bigger audience of people. And there was already a few ways to do that. And most people were taking their business online, which I've also gone that direction as well.
Yes.
But aside from going online, I was like, what's another way that I can reach people that is kind of like untapped, really?
Amazing.
And I am a person that still loves to read physical copy books. Like I will read, I will mark in them, I will write in them, I'll do everything. And then also with that too, when I first got into health and fitness, I literally printed out how to do workouts, and I made my own book and took it to the gym.
Oh my God, yes.
And I looked crazy, and people constantly were stopping me, and they're like, "What are you like? Are you doing a certain workout plan?" And I'm like, "No, I'm literally just trying not to mess up the work." It was like literally like stick figures, like
oh
how
my
to do
God,
it.
yeah.
So it just kind of struck me at some point that I was like, "This is." Not everybody wants a physical book, but for me, I was like, that's something that really moved the needle for me and was like really great for me. And so I was like, this is a good way that I can reach a wider audience and in a more interesting way that a lot of people aren't doing.
Have you scaled it to like go to Spotify, or are you really going to keep it as a book so somebody can have a hard copy?
Right. So I do have it online, and I made it into an app. I haven't actually launched the app yet. So that will be great. But aside from that, you can get like an ebook copy or a physical copy.
Yes.
Either way, I'm just trying to get into as many hands as possible. It's not just about growing your glutes. I mean, I'm touching on pretty much every topic that surrounds health and fitness. And it's majority of like how to grow your glutes, but it's really like how should you be eating, or like structuring your scheduling, or how do you stay motivated? All those things that are really kind of even more important than the actual workouts themselves.
Wow, that's fascinating. So when you wrote this book, obviously your goal was to speak to people in your language. Hey, this is what I do. This is what helped me grow, my glutes or my personal physique. Because obviously, like you said, it's not just about your glutes. It's about individualism, being who you are, but taking care of your body in that process. And I think it's also psychological. It's not just like, oh, my body looks good, but your mind has to follow the process. So what made you want to create the book? Like, what was it one day that you woke up and you're like, Casey, I'm going to write a book? What happened there?
I spend so much time, especially during like the COVID years, like when we were all stuck at home.
Yes.
Like I love to read. And since there really wasn't a lot to do, I just was constantly reading. I was constantly studying. And at some point I was just like, I have so much like pent up knowledge, basically. I read so many studies, I've gone through so many things, and I'm like, most people aren't going to take the time to do this just because partially just because it's overwhelming. There's so much like contradictory information. And I was like, I really got to the point where I was like getting down to like the resolve of like what actually was happening. And so I was like, I need to share this with people. I genuinely felt like it was rude of me to keep it to myself and not tell people, because I was like, most people aren't going to take the amount of time that I took to really get to the bottom of things. And so why not give people what I found.
Wow, I love that.
Wow.
It's like such an inspiration to hear this, truly, because you're like reaching the masses. You know, that's something that we want to do, is like reach the masses. And that's why we really do want to write a book. And, you know, again, sometimes you just need to hear it from somebody like yourself. Like, hey, like I have the knowledge in me. You know, we do want to share with people. We do want people to know our knowledge. And it is kind of selfish for us not to share that. You know what I mean? And as real estate agents and loan officers, we can help so many people, kind of like you're a personal trainer, and it takes a lot of your time with, you know, every single one. Like when I show houses, it'll be like an hour or two per person, right? So I can only reach so many people. But if we had like a book and knowledge and loans and real estate, then there could be a way to reach the masses. So again, this like really lights a fire for me, and I'm sure for Eli as well, to really get out there and get that book written and be able to like share with people.
I hope. I would love to read that. I'm sure a lot of other people would. I think the main thing is always like, I mean, we all know it, but I feel like it's just doing it, because I think for me particularly, it wasn't even actually getting started. I feel like I had the book completely done, and I was so scared to put it out. I actually had like a year period of like re-editing and until I was like, I just need to go with this, because like
so good.
it was genuinely just fear of like, oh, what if I say one small word wrong, or like, you know, and it's so silly, because in reality it's like the overarching message and everything that I had found and studied and researched and all these things were valid. So I was like, me standing in my own way wasn't worth it anymore. And I just eventually put it out, and it was probably one of the best things I've done.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I can see that cycle. It happens to me a lot. I'm heavy on the perfectionism. So I have to be like perfect on, because I want to write a book too. I tell Mike about this. I feel like I have this history about me from being married, having kids. Now I'm with Mike. So it's a little bit of an intense history, but you also have that history in your own way, and you explained it in a way where you put it in your book. Obviously you didn't go into your history, but you went into a focus point that means a lot to you and to a lot of people, a lot of readers. Like when I was reading the book, I was like, wow, this is some good stuff. All right, let me try some of these things. So, and Mike was like, what are you doing? Like, don't look at me, I'm embarrassed. Like, why are you watching me? I
loved it.
So, but you know, but it is I say it's a very sensual type of book, because you kind of have to expect the fact that when you're doing these kind of workouts, it's your butt. So it's kind of like it's a very discreet, uncomfortable thing when people are watching, but alone, obviously you don't care. It's okay. You know, nobody's watching, but at the end it gets the goal done, and it makes you feel more confident about yourself, which I'm sure like you were probably at a point, and I don't know if you were blessed automatically at birth. You're like, I have booty gains automatically. Maybe you weren't, you know, we'll ask into that question, but I feel like a lot of people out there that don't have the ability to get those gains, maybe it's their eating habits, maybe it's just their DNA. It could be any of that. But now people have the ability to do that by reading that culture you created in your book. And you're like, all right, now I can do that. So I feel like that inspires people. That inspires me to want to write a book about my history, just because you can say it in a way and maybe somebody relates to it.
100%.
Yes.
You know?
And let's actually talk about that. So when did you start, you know, getting involved in fitness? Because, you know, we're on your page, and it's like every
it does say Casey Loves Fitness.
Casey Loves Fitness. And it's like, you go on her page, you guys go on Casey Loves Fitness. Right. And oh my God, like every photo is just so on point with your fitness. So like, where did this all start? You know what I mean?
You know, I've gotten this question a lot, reasonably. I genuinely say I started getting into health and fitness when I was 3 because my mom put me in a ballet class when I was 3 years old. And while it was the worst experience of my life as a child, because I just like was so crazy and I was like not following instructions.
Oh my God, yes.
It grew on me, and I did ballet until I was 20 years old, and I got semi-professional with it. Like I genuinely was it was like the best thing of my life. But to me, that was really the start of my journey. And while like when I was 3 years old, I wasn't expecting someday I'm going to write a book about the glutes or like to be a personal trainer. I didn't realize all those things were going to happen. They really were like a cascade event from the simple thing of my mom putting me in a ballet class when I was 3.
Oh my God. Yeah. So shout out to mom. Yeah. Loves it.
So your mom did, in essence, kind of instill that in you, like your mother being that figure for you. She was like, do it. What's your ethnicity, by the way?
My mom's 100% British and my dad's Polish and then like a mix of who knows.
Oh my God.
Okay, so like
Loves
us,
it,
we're just
loves
like
it.
whatever it is. Our parents think say we're Mexicans, but I think we both
You're like, I
think
don't
we
know.
don't
if that's
even know.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Some mailman stopped by. Who knows?
Oh my
right?
God.
Wow, Eli.
That's what you always say. Mike
Oh
always
my
says
God.
that. You always say it.
I feel like who even knows anymore? I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like this day and age, it's like my
Right.
mom's always like, I'm 100% British, and I'm
Yeah.
like, we should test that. And she's
Right.
so mad. She's like, I am, and
Yeah.
I'm like, are you sure? She
You
does
just
look
throw a
like
needle at her and be
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't mean to
Oh
do
my
that.
God. No, I
Sure.
need to do a little DNA test myself because I don't even know.
It'd be interesting.
You know, but wow, ballet, that is so amazing. So it obviously, you know, it helped you just like fall in love with fitness, I'm sure too, because
Mhm.
I've seen, you know, ballet girls and, you know, I'm sure men as well. But wow, the things that you have to do in these classes are like brutal is what I
Yeah.
see. I mean, you guys are really like on your toes, literally.
Yeah. I mean, I think it gave me both sides of the spectrum. And for so many years, I was seeing like the positive and the negatives of both
Mhm.
like a healthy body and a healthy lifestyle and a healthy mind. And then also the alternative
Mhm.
because I wouldn't say ballet is the healthiest
Mhm.
option, especially as far as like sports or
Got it.
dancing.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of downside to the way that they
Mhm.
treat your
Mhm.
body and minds, but there's also
Mhm.
upside. So I think though
Right.
having like both perspectives and going through that for 17 years actually
Wow.
gave me a lot of perspective going forward into my health and fitness journey outside of doing ballet.
Wow.
There was a documentary we saw about ballet and how damaging it could be to the toes and to
Oh
the
yeah.
ankles
Oh yeah.
because of how you have to position yourself.
yeah, I have
and then
like
on top of that-
80-year-old knees now. I
Oh
like
my
crack when I
God.
go upstairs. People are like, what's
Stop.
that noise? I'm like,
Oh
That's
my
you the whole
God.
oh
time.
my God, I don't have
I
any clue.
love
That's
it.
so weird.
Right? You're like, it's the
Wow.
stairs.
It's
It's the
literally
stairs.
kneecaps like falling
Oh
off
my
my
God.
Oh my
spine.
goodness!
Wow.
So that's scary. Obviously, hey, if you're doing ballet, hey, go for it, girl.
Have you
Or
ever
guy.
like broke anything or?
Not in ballet.
Okay.
No.
okay. just
Okay,
making
so not
sure.
in the main subject. Okay.
Right, exactly. But okay, and still on ballet because I love this,
Yeah.
and this is something new to us. We didn't know this about you, so this is
Yeah.
like so exciting to explore
Yeah.
this. And so what made you, you know, because 17 years, that's like pro status. So
Mhm.
like, how come you like stopped doing it? You know what I mean?
I actually decided to stop because of the health risks.
Okay.
wow.
I watched my friends that were my age and a little bit older, and they
Mhm.
were getting into companies and what they were doing to sustain that lifestyle. And well, like ballet to me, I would tell people was literally like me breathing. Like I genuinely thought that was my life and there was nothing else. Like
Oh, wow.
I didn't want to do anything else.
Yes.
But at some point I realized that I actually did have other like hobbies or other
Mhm,
things that I was
mhm,
interested
mhm,
in.
mhm.
And I eventually had to weigh out, like, was I willing to give up probably a lot of years of my health and
Mhm.
happiness
Mhm.
to pursue dancing, which is it's a very short career. And that's part of the scary
Mhm.
part of it. It's like most ballerinas have aged out by the age of like 30.
Oh
My
wow.
So I was
Oh
already
my
20 at the
gosh.
time, and I was like,
Yeah.
I maybe if
Mhm.
I'm lucky, make
Yes.
like the very top 1% of ballerinas,
Yes.
and then I live a successful ballet life for
Right.
10 years,
Oh, wow.
and then
Wow.
what?
Right.
And at some point to me, I was like, that didn't weigh out right for my
Yes.
future, and I was like, since I have other hobbies,
Mhm.
I should probably go towards them.
Yes.
I like how you explain that because if you consider the fact of sports, I mean, sports can only last for so long from
Mhm.
soccer to baseball to ballerinas
Mhm.
to how you can perform has a limit, right? Like you can
Yeah.
only expose your body to so much damage.
Mhm.
And I see why a lot of sports players, a lot of high-end individuals, and you,
Mhm.
again, 17 years is a long time,
right.
how you can decide, look, my body's already gone through so much.
Mhm.
I might need to stop and do something different because obviously we're in real estate. So for us, our mind should stay on track to continue its process, right? Because we're not damaging our body. But I definitely, myself and Mike, we obviously honor anybody who is in sports because it's definitely a very difficult thing.
Oh yeah.
Because the body can only do so much. It can't, it's just does not floating in space. It's seriously damaging, crippling.
Yeah.
You have a ball fly at you at 100 miles per hour and break your neck, which we've seen on TV.
Oh my
And it's just like, and then the toes of a ballerina. So there's so
Yes.
much in that. And so I commend you. I'm sure Mike commends you on the
Yes.
fact that you're still standing here, not
Oh
coming
my
in a
God.
wheelchair. You know, because you could have
Thank
come in a
God.
wheelchair.
You know,
Maybe a couple years.
Okay, well,
Oh my
no,
God,
no.
no,
That's not
no.
I'm not manifesting that. I'm not manifesting that.
Right,
But,
right.
but the fact is, you did something that is very extraordinary
Thank you.
because
Yes.
things like this go in like Guinness Books of Records, like who's the ballerina that could have danced more spins and who knows what.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
it's very intense. So honestly, that's very commending.
And also like being brave enough to leave something that you were in for 17 years. That's like, you can change your life. You know what I mean? Because since this, we'll get into it in a minute, but you truly have changed your life from that. And you know, if you're in a sport or you're in something that, like you said, you live and breathe, you are living, breathing it, like you can change your life. You can be something different. Even for myself, I was like in medical before and I changed into the real estate world. That's and you know, you can change your life. You don't have to be stuck to something, especially if you're so, you know, involved with it. So if you're one of those people, you know, just know that you can change your life. So I love that you're like telling us this.
To be fair though, it like, and I was young, so it was even probably less scary, but it was the scariest decision I've ever made. So I would say like, you just have to do it. Like if you feel like it's right, like in your heart, like, always trust your gut. But for me, my gut was like, this is not the best path for you, but you just have to commit because it is, for at least for me, I was like, it was the scariest thing. And if I had just like not gone against my like intuition and been like, no, this just like is what I've always done. I think I would probably live a very less happy life than I live now, for sure.
Intense.
That's so amazing.
You know, we have a lot of some of our viewers, they're all about females having a lot of energy and power, and we seriously appreciate. We've had only a couple females on our show too, and you know, guys, Casey, she has a business entrepreneur, has written a book. Obviously healthy, ballerina. I mean, she's done everything, and you're still in your 20s, right?
Oh my God, I wish. Thanks. Oh my God.
Just saying.
Yeah, she's 21.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so she said 25. So anyway, so look, any of you can do this, can make it possible. You got to just follow your gut, follow your feelings, and really like, if you want to change your life like you did, you're like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And then you're like, I'm going to change the way I see my life, and you did it. And like you said, it was difficult, but you're like, I'm going to do it.
And it wasn't even you, right? Like you had people that believed in you, that were like your parents, I'm sure, even like your, you know, is it like a team that you're on? Like, basically.
I mean, you kind of, unless you move around a lot, like you grow up with the same people. Like in the dance world, usually it's very much the same people. Like there's not a lot of transient in and out ballerinas. It's like I grew up for many, many years with the same people every single day of my life. So,
and that's why it's hard and scary, because you have to not only tell yourself, well, I'm changing, but you have to go to these individuals, even your family members, and be like, hey, this is just not for me. That is so tough.
Luckily, I have a very supportive family and friends.
Fantastic.
So everybody was very supportive, but it was definitely, it was still rough.
There you go. And so from this, when you were from a ballerina, then what did you transition in from this to?
Yeah. So I like I said, I was like, I have other hobbies, and one of them was like doing design. And so I ended up moving to LA because of that. I went to the Fashion Institute.
Oh my God.
Which was kind of a wild decision in hindsight. But
and where'd you come from? Not to interrupt you.
Oregon. Oregon.
Oh my God. So from Oregon. Yeah.
Very,
so
very
from
different.
Oregon to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
I loathed it at first because I moved directly into downtown. And so I was like, there are no trees.
Right.
Only like adults. I was like, there's no babies, like kids, trees. Like I never saw a dog. I was like, what is this place? I was so used to being in like wilderness and
that's
having all
LA
those
for
things
sure.
around. Yeah, so I was like,
LA.
it was shocking at first.
Got it.
And then I ended up actually using that, and I started my own swimwear company out of college and did that for quite a while. And then I ended up meeting Dan, who ended up being the catalyst for changing my career paths, actually from designing and doing swimwear into health and fitness, because I was so into it and I was doing it, spending so much time on it personally that, he was kind of the catalyst for that all taking off. And here we are, a decade later.
Oh my God. And so you basically, you were like the one that chose all these, swimwear. You were like basically running all this and obviously being a model for it as well, correct?
I was at the time. I mean, I didn't have money. So I was like I was an art student. I was doing everything. I was designing it. I was creating it. I was modeling.
Okay,
I had friends take the pictures most of the time. But I'm like, even then it was like, sit your phone up somewhere. It was a lot. It became overwhelming, but I absolutely loved it at the time.
God. So this is so epic.
That's amazing. You know what's interesting? You said fashion. As me and Mike were privileged to walk the New York Fashion Week this Friday. I think it's this Friday, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be walking.
We're
pretty excited, and it's interesting because everywhere we go recently, someone's talking about fashion, and then you're always wearing your bikinis. You're always wearing like this very amazing style of clothes because you have the body and the physique for it. Obviously, thanks to the Glute Bible, you know,
the Glute Bible. Yes.
But the fact is that's a great thing to focus on because your body is your temple, it's what you show. And honestly, like that's amazing that you went from, I mean, if you think about it, you kind of went from the body to body again. But you went from body to, because fashion is still the way you look in some essence, right? Like the clothes you wear, the style you wear. The ballerina was also still your body. And I like that you even wrote a book about the body. So I think that's, in essence, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that where you feel your focus is on with life? You feel like everything has to do with the way your body is.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I actually got into swimwear because it was the most close type of clothing to like a leotard and tights, which is what a ballerina wears. And I was like, but that's such a niche hobby of people that I was like, I didn't feel like getting into that. So I felt like swimwear was like the next most reasonable thing. And then
God, I love this connection.
Yeah. And then actually from swimwear, what made me change my mind and go into health and fitness again and in a different respect was that I felt like I saw people wearing my swimwear and it was like making them happy. And at some point I realized though, like I'm giving people swimwear and they're wearing it for like a short period of time and maybe feeling like really great about themselves. But once they take it off, like I don't know where their mind's at. And there was something that I was like, getting into personal training, I'm there in a more grand way. Like I'm really affecting somebody's life. Whereas like they wear something that makes them feel good. I'm changing who they are. I'm helping like reform their life, reshape their minds and reshape their bodies. And that's something that has longevity. And I just felt like I was able to affect more people in a positive way from that rather than clothing. But yeah, it is all very connected.
Oh, I love that. That's fascinating because we're obviously connected in business. This fashion thing is just some random thing that popped up. But
today I'm wearing this outfit inspired by you.
Okay, so tell them as to why you wore it, Mike.
Just because I know you like space and all that. Oh my God, and I'm so obsessed with it too.
And aliens.
The alien space and just the stars and all that, the moon and everything. So I was like, how do I like match Casey today?
Right. No, the energy. This is like this is my energy in a jacket.
Love it. Yes, exactly.
You're gonna have to give her one of your pins, Mike.
Oh my God, yes, we will. And actually, you're so open-minded, and again, you're coming from Oregon, and you're somebody like Eli. You always change your hair, you always change your style. Like, I want to know where like this came from because I do feel like Oregon and LA are just a little bit different. So, you know,
from the look of that, a lot.
Yeah. So, like, is it like, did you come over here and this is like when you were more open-minded, or were you always open-minded as like a kid, or like, you know?
I don't know if it's my years in dance, like, because you dress up and you play a part, and that was a large part of it. But I don't know. Ever since I was a little girl, I loved playing dress up, and I love the concept of like just be whoever you want to be and enjoy it in the moment. And I think like it sounds silly because I still tell people to this day, I'm like, I play dress up every day, and everybody's like, yeah, I mean, like I put on clothes too, and I'm like, no, it's not the same. Like, I feel like I really enjoy life, and I'm really trying to live, and like I want, like when I put on clothing sometimes, and like it gives me a certain energy, and I'm like, that's who I am for the day.
I feel
and
you.
I live in that, and I'm like, that's fun to me. I really enjoy that, and I know it sounds silly to other people, but I genuinely feel like I'm playing dress up every day, and I'm putting on different personalities. Not like I'm becoming a different person, but like, you know, there's something making life interesting. You have to like find the little things, and for some reason fashion and dressing up and doing that is
totally us. That is like when I wear my suits, I always feel like I'm playing dress up too, but like you said, it gives you like a certain energy. And like, you know, we have our driven events all the time, and I have my outfits like planned literally sometimes 6 months in advance because
you guys always look on point.
Thank you. Even like this year's driven that's coming up, like I already had my suit for like 3 months already.
I love it.
And it's like all like glass suit, like broken pieces of glass.
He went really far on this one.
But so you guys are getting a little hint of what it's going to be. But I do want to let you know that we're inspired by you because of your posts. Like you literally, you know, change yourself all the time. Sometimes your hair is a different color. Your outfits are always on point. And it just makes us wake up in the morning. We're like, we could also like be, you know, like you, honestly. And, you know, one person who is really inspired is Eli as well. Like he's always changing his hair like you. And
I know,
it's
we're
just,
on the same game.
right.
Hey,
Exactly. Yes. He just had pink hair. Now he has the
You
platinum.
only live once, so I think you should always like do exactly
Yeah.
what your heart feels. So if I feel like I'm going to go pink, I'm going to do pink.
Yes.
And I'm beyond the fact of worrying about what other people think.
Oh,
I'm
I
all
don't
about
care.
if that's my
Right.
character. And kind of like you said, I have a different character a couple times in the year.
Yes.
So if I feel like playing the role of like, all right, it's actually pre-Barbie, let's do the pink. I changed it because it's already died out, I think.
But look, like there's seasons in nature and there's seasons in life. Like why is it so weird to think like, because I have a lot of people ask me that too. Like, why do you change your hair so much or whatever, or change your clothes, your outfit, the way you dress? I'm like, because life is seasons.
Exactly.
And like even us as people during years or months, we genuinely change how we feel, and to also put that in the outside, I think is something that a lot of people don't do, but I appreciate that about you. And I think it's like, I don't know, like I said, I think it makes life more interesting. So I'm going to keep doing it.
And that's so deep. Guys, seriously,
same.
like that goes deep. Like you guys, everybody that's watching, seriously, I'm sure you guys feel inside that there are life seasons. Every year it changes. You want to maybe have a different hairstyle. Maybe you want to dress differently. I've seen people go from a particular style of dressing. Let's go back to the 90s and the 2000s, right? People change styles all the time. And I feel like in this day and age, people have 10 different styles to choose from, and they choose what the day looks like. Kind of like Mike is going to dress like a ornament on. Honestly, I'm just saying, I see his outfit. I'm like, what
it's
are
like
you doing?
A disco outfit.
It's a little beyond, but I applaud him for it. I'm like, hey, good job. That's you, right?
Yes.
We're all our own characters, but you play very well. Like, and again, is it a character? Or is it actually who you are? Because, one of our friends, Paris Hilton, she says, I'm a character. And every time I dress, that's who I choose to be. And sometimes she is herself when she's with her family.
It's interesting because I do think it's characters, but it's also myself. I feel like it's just however I feel that day. I just think like our energy vibrates outward. And it's just that some people don't feel comfortable with embracing it in like a physical manner. And to me, I'm like, dude, I'm weird. I'm like, I've embraced this my entire life. I'm like, if I feel strange or wearing something strange or like, I'll look at things sometimes. I'll be like, I know this looks ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to wear it.
Right.
And so I will, just because I'm like, I don't. It's just like it makes me feel good, and I'm like, I don't know. So I think it's both. It's just like it's just something vibrating outwards for me, but it's not always like, oh, just because you dress that way, it's like now. I don't know. It's not like an indication that you've like changed your personality. I would say it's just like some aspect of you in that day that it's like, oh, that like it's. I don't know. You just brought up and you're like, I just want to emphasize that.
Yeah, I love that because that's totally us too. Like today when we woke up, we knew you were our guest. Of course, days in advance. But today, like I went in my closet and I'm like, how do I put everything together? Like for today, how do I feel today? And this is just what I felt today. You know what I mean? So some of my suits, yes, they are planned in advance, but for the most part, it is on a daily basis that I will go in my closet and pick how I feel that day because I just want to be open and free. I want to be me, just like you know? Yeah. And it just feels so good. Like you said, so enlightening. I get to go throughout the day. And most people are like, oh my God, like how long did it take you to put that together? And I'm like, oh, like 10 minutes. Like I looked, I was like, that's what I want today. And that's it. You just feel it. Right. Yeah. It's like for that day, you know what I mean? So
switching gears a little bit. So obviously we're talking about fashion, the glutes. So
the glutes.
We've been to your farm, you know, so it's seriously, we were in love with the animals. So regarding your farm, give us your why. Do you love animals? Is it just something you fell into?
Yeah. I have absolutely been obsessed with animals my entire life. And my parents always thought outside of ballet that I was going to have some career in animals.
Loves it.
The problem is I like tried to do things where I would go in and like be a volunteer at a rescue, but I wanted to rescue every animal. That did not work out well. I was like, you have to stop doing this. It's not healthy for you. Yeah. I thought of being a vet, but I was like, I literally cannot handle when an animal's in pain. And so I would love to be the person like helping them. I would be there crying. Like I was it wasn't gonna work out.
Oh my God.
So I was kind of just trying to find the place in my life where that fit in. And with getting the ranch, like that just happened to be the right timing. So we were able to turn it into a sanctuary for a lot of animals that were otherwise not being treated very well or they weren't getting the right amount of food just because of whatever was going on with their owners. And so we were able to save a lot of animals, and it has been probably the most rewarding experience in my
That's
life.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
You took us on she took us on a private tour, and that was so beautiful.
That was fun.
And it was fun, but also beautiful because, like you said, when we were there, I mean, these animals, like if you could feel animals, if you're out there and you have animals, like you could really feel how happy they were. Like I had such a connection with like almost every single animal there. Like, I mean, we got to feed them. It was just so beautiful, but they were genuinely happy.
Right.
Like, did you not feel that? Like, I was like, we left so
great.
happy. Like,
and honestly, I think you provided the right home for them because they had enough space. They had food.
Right.
I mean, we took buckets of food as well, but we are huge on providing animals love and shelter. Like, there's cats sometimes that come to our house, like, give them some food. Then they keep coming though. So we're like, you're like, darn it, what are we doing?
Not that person.
Now we're feeding. Now we're feeding like strays. So so it's kind of like we do have a heart for that. We do have a cat. We have 2 beagles as well, and we just can't even. We had, somebody told us yesterday, oh, my cat passed away at 14 years old. I'm like, my cat's 10.
Yeah, we were like so sad. It was like a sad moment.
Sad.
We were like, oh my God,
wait a minute, he's alive.
Hard.
Yeah.
But we do have a heart for that, so I can see how when you wanted to be in that career, possibly being that person to bring in these animals, that you would probably lose yourself in it. Because I find that, I don't know if anybody feels this, but I find animals to be almost human-like when it comes down to the emotional aspect of how you feel for them.
Yeah.
Because it's changed a lot. Back then, I don't know why I feel like back then, but back then, even 30 years ago, people just didn't honor their animals as much. I feel like now there's this placement, not displacement, but a placement for them in our hearts. And I feel like now we kind of need them. They're kind of like our talk buddies. Like you kind of, if you're alone, like sometimes when I used to get mad at Mike, by the way, I would just bring in the cat like Wesker. Yeah, that's his name, Wesker. This man sometimes,
Oh yeah,
he
my
does.
dog's nonstop.
You're
not alone.
Yes,
I tell them all sorts of things and they just look at me like, stop.
Yeah, They're like again. They're like again. No.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a good way of us being who we are. And the animals, I actually think they love it.
Yeah.
I feel like they actually understand. I know it sounds weird, but I feel like they get the language.
I feel like at very least they like know that you love them and there's like you're showing them that you have a need for them, and I feel like they then share that back with you.
Yeah,
absolutely. And there was even a study. Remember, Mike? There was a study where there was 2 plants, and this is different, right? So there's 2 plants, 2 regular plants, and there was a person screaming at one and a person loving the other one, and the one that was being screamed at died a lot faster than the one that was being provided love. So I feel like it's the same thing for animals. You provide them the love. And the same thing, I mean, let's be real. You give anything love, it makes sense why things last longer. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I actually did the plant thing.
Oh my God.
But like on purpose, but on accident in a way, because in LA, like I kept trying to grow my own herbs. And I wasn't saying anything mean to my plants, but I definitely read those studies and I thought it was so fascinating.
Right.
And it wasn't connecting at first, but for a while I just kept rebuying the same herbs. I'm like, why are they dying? And I was like, it has to be LA. It is partially LA, but like the air and stuff.
Right, true.
At some point I was like, wait, I just remember those studies and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try this. Like, what do I have to lose? And so I would be out there literally talking to my herbs, and I kid you not, they stopped dying. And I was like, I believed it when I read it, but something about actually doing it and seeing, I was like dumbfounded. I was like, they really were dying like every other week, and they lasted for months once I started talking to them.
No way.
I'm not joking. I didn't do anything else differently. And so I was like,
And
like,
I wanted to always like try this study too. So we're so on the same
really
mindset.
Works for me,
like
so I don't know.
I had some like sunflowers or something, and I was like talking to them, and I was like, the studies are true. Like, you know what I mean? But I never did it long enough to see what would happen. But I did like start, you know what I mean? Because I was like, these are like really fascinating, like you said, studies. Like you could do it with water. You could do it so many different things. And it's so cool that you actually did it. So now we know that it actually is true, you know?
Try it. I don't know. I literally cannot explain it any other way.
Oh my God.
And I feel that interaction is huge in anything in life, because it is a living species, right? Like plants, insects, human beings, or animals. So I feel like that's important. Like everybody who has all these things, like I'm actually gonna try it. I think we should buy a plant on the way home. Like I just want to put it in.
I want to hear how this
I literally want to. I'm not even kidding. I want us to post it on social media and be like, all right, we're giving it love. I want it to be like, hey, I love you. Are you okay? Here's your food. And let's see how long it lasts. I think it'd be great.
At the very least, you maybe look crazy around
but
like that's it.
So more than the usual.
Hey, if anything, we're just spreading love. You know what I mean? Good energies. The world needs it. The world needs it. So
Casey, I love your mindset. To me, I find you as an explorer. You're doing so many different creative things. You're an entrepreneur as a businesswoman. I'm sure there's women that look up to you that maybe you don't even know because you have a huge following too. And I'm sure there's like, oh my God, you got this, Casey, go for it, girl. So we look up to that. We look up to the positive spirits of individualism, of people who they want to be, who they want to be. What's the next thing for you? So if you were like, all right, Casey, my next thing is this. Has there been a next step? Like, do you have a ladder to the next thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think about this every day because I'm the kind of person that it's like I want to know what my goals are, but also I'm not stuck in them. Like overall, the big goals usually stay the same, but the small goals along the way change almost daily, which is wild, but that's just how it is for me. In the long term, I plan on writing more books. Like I've always planned on having a series of books. So this was just the glutes was just the starter, and then I just want to do other kind of like specified books in the arena of health and fitness. And then outside of that, I've started to really get into like speaking, and I think I'm gonna really embrace that because it's another way of really being able to reach. I mean, you guys obviously know, but like reach a greater audience, and then just even that, like for me to be in those rooms and like be able to talk to those people outside of being on a stage it moves the needle, I think, more than anything else in life. So, I mean, I feel like I'm getting two birds with one stone on that. Like getting onto stage, getting outside of myself and being able to share what I know. And then also just being able to be in the room with those people and like have conversations with people that are in the same mindset.
Yeah, give us like a little bit of your experience because I know you kind of already started this journey, correct? Right. I know you've been on stage recently, I think in the last couple months.
I've been on a few stages a couple of times.
And how was it? Because I want to know how you felt when you went up there. Was it scary? Was it like you were just excited? What were your feelings on this?
So I grew up on stages doing ballet and all kinds of dance. So in that respect, like some part of me is very like calm because I'm like I'm used to being on stage. But right before going on stage, because talking is different. Like, people might come up with not choreography, but you might come up with like a speech. It's like no one really sits down and is like, this is the word after the word because like you get off track and then your whole speech is blown. So you kind of have to go up like with an idea of what you want to talk about, but you're not like there's not choreography. And so for me, that was like a little bit scary because I'm used to like every move was choreographed in ballet. So I'm like,
you knew the next step.
So this was like scary for me. I think the scariest time was the time I stepped in front of over 1,000 people at one event, and I was like, I was like on stage, like I was following like Bedros and Andy Frisell, and I was like, I was like so lucky to be in that space, and I was like, right before I went on stage, I was cool until like right before they said my name. And then I was like, what am I doing?
Oh my God.
I had the instinct to be like, literally, if I just run, how awkward would that be?
God, no.
And then the first like 30 seconds on stage, I felt like so uncomfortable. And then I don't know. I feel like you just get in a rhythm and it becomes fun. I loved it. Once I got off stage, I was like, that was great. But for like a minute there, I was having a full
that sounds exciting because remember Albert called us on stage that one time. We talked about our coin story about coins to cards. It's Mike built that story, but I can see how it could be very nerve-wracking because we've only done it a couple of times. Not never had like the whole entire moment. Like I'm sure when you did it, you're like,
because ours was only like 5 minutes, and truly it was like I really
each other too.
We did have each other.
You're probably solo.
It helped a little bit having somebody else on stage with you. But oh my God, I felt like I was gonna fall. My legs were going out on me, and I was so scary. So I get it. Like before we went on, it was like I was sweating. I was like, this is so scary.
It was like a dog behind the Chinese restaurant.
It's just like human nature. It's really crazy. I forget what the statistic is, but it's something wild. It's like 90-something% of people would rather like pass away than go and do a speech. And it's literally... It's just we are so scared of like messing up or sounding weird to other people. And I think like it's kind of sad. And I feel like at some point it's the same thing as a book. It's like at some point you have to get past yourself and you're like, if you truly believe in what you're sharing and the knowledge that you have or what you're giving to people, then you're literally just standing in your own way. Like granted, I've heard people say plenty of silly things on stage and I'm sure I have as well. It's like we're human beings. And the funny thing is like the people in the audience, like I've been in a lot of audiences too. And never once am I like, oh my God, like how without weird thing they said. No one dwells on it. It's only the person giving the speech. So it's like at some point you just have to realize like it's not actually as scary as it seems. So it's really just getting past the first like minute.
There you go.
Just get out there and then suck it up. I don't know.
I can see because I think everybody's naturally born with fear. Everybody's born with fear, but I think going on stage, because if you think about the schooling system, they never really teach you how to public speak. As a matter of fact, actually kids make you feel immortalized by the fact that you can speak. They'll start making fun of how you're talking and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people get scared. So I feel like you said, when you go up on stage, our fear kicks in and we're like, we're becoming our own self-critics of, you know, and then we're worried about somebody critiquing us, like, oh, they're criticizing me. Did I stutter?
But like, no one really cares.
Yeah. And exactly. Nobody cares. And that's the best part. Cause when we went on stage, we're like people are looking at you, but they're not really clocked in.
Yeah.
I mean, they're listening, they're writing notes, but they're not really like, oh, I don't really care, but I'm gonna listen to you.
They're also taking in like what's important to them. So it's like you're saying, they're kind of, everything's through a filter anyway. So it's not like no one's really listening usually to every single word you're saying.
Very true.
So yeah, like criticizing yourself, and we do like for like the littlest thing, it's like probably no one even like didn't even register.
Yeah.
Literally. Like whatever.
Yeah. And now that like we've done it a couple of times, there's you know, you actually start getting attracted or viewing the people that you kind of feel are like, oh, they're shaking their heads yes, and they're like, oh, and then you actually do feel good because you're like, wait, did I just like, in my head I'm like, did I just kind of like help somebody, you know what I mean? Which is our goal, right, from the whole start. And then like you said, after a couple of minutes, you know, you start getting into it. We haven't done it long enough.
Like being able to see the audience is actually way worse because of that. Like when you can't see them because it's like such a big platform, that's actually better because then you don't have that.
No kidding.
But like being able to see people is also interesting because you have to get over the fact that like your message is not meant for everybody. So it's not going to reach everybody. So you can look out and it's great to see those people like that you like feel connected with and you know they're getting the message, and there will always be those people. But you have to like move on from the fact that there's going to be people friggin' yawning and
oh my God,
like,
yes.
There really will be, but it's nothing against you. It's just like not, your message is not for everybody.
Yeah, I love this because I have seen, you know, billionaire speakers, and there's people sitting next to me, right? They're like falling asleep, but I'm like with my eyes wide open, you know what I mean? So you're right.
It's not for them. It's just like, I mean, or it's not for them at that time. They're just, for whatever reason, they don't feel connected to it. So and so one thing I want to ask is, you know, influencing, because, you know, you're so young and you're influencing, you know, females and males, not going to lie, like for us, I'm not kidding, like our hair and our style, you're just like everything. Fitness too, like it's like we just get up, we're like go to the gym, you know what I mean? So I know you've been involved in a couple of different companies, and I think one of them was like the First Form. Like you know, how did you know, get into this company? And you know, so Dan,
because these are like huge companies, you know what I mean?
Dan owns a social media agency, and so when we started our relationship, I kind of got into it in that respect. And then so he owns Elevator Studios, which is a social media agency, and he actually ended up becoming friends with Andy Frisella, who owns First Form supplements many years ago. And from that friendship, it grew into like us going out there and really looking at the facility, the manufacturing, and the science behind it and everything. Because I mean, I've worked for First Form now maybe 6-7 years. It's really interesting. So I've worked as an influencer, but I have worked with them and maybe a couple off things, like very far and few between, because I feel like it's very hard, particularly in like the supplement industry, because of the lack of regulations.
Oh, that's right.
I feel like when not only being friends with Andy, but genuinely going out in there and seeing that they are going and doing the tests themselves, and they are making sure that everything's being manufactured and the quality is like to the best of their abilities, was something that for me, I was like, other supplement brands don't have the capacity to do that. Even if they wanted to, they just don't. They're unable to. It's pretty crazy what you have to actually put it through to make sure that everything is good for you and wholesome, and there's not bad things that somehow snuck in. And so I've been with First Form for that long just because simply I believe in their brand. I trust them, and
I love that.
And
Go ahead.
And maybe you don't know this answer, but obviously you talked about supplements, and something I've always wanted, and maybe you guys might want to know this, but when it comes down to FDA approval for supplements, is that even a thing, or is that just a label?
So labels are really confusing. This part, like, I actually go over a little bit of that in my book, because I feel like that's something in general that I feel like as a society they're using labels now as like marketing. And it's crazy because most people, you would think that it's like, oh, if it's FDA approved or it's organic or whatever, like these words must mean something, and generally they do not usually.
Got it.
And if they do, when they do mean something, it's something not to what you're assuming that it means. Especially in the supplement industry. Like I said, First Form is literally the only brand I've ever seen actually put that much time, effort, energy into like testing on their own accord.
Wow.
But supplements in general, they get pulled. There's tons of them constantly coming up left and right, and then they get pulled from shelves all the time. Like you'll go and you'll be like, oh, why is that brand not there anymore? Oh my God.
Sorry. Oh no.
Hey, it's not over yet, guys.
Yeah.
It's not over.
That's actually for my dog supplement.
Oh my God.
Okay, loves it.
It's okay.
Totally forgot
We
about
love
it,
our
I love
animals. There you go. There you go.
Oh heavens.
Oh, loves it. Loves it.
Sorry, guys.
No worries. We love it. We love it.
This is real. This is real.
Yeah, real
recording,
time.
guys.
We have real time here.
My dog takes supplements sometimes like on a timer. It's a whole
Okay.
thing.
Oh my
Wait,
God.
what supplements are your dogs on since we have this
Oh
topic?
my gosh. No, a lot. Actually, like I make their food for them
Oh my
every
God,
week and
yeah.
stuff. I like
No
like they
way.
eat better than I do most of the time.
Yes.
It's insane.
No, we love this.
But human and actually animal supplements is crazy because it is completely unregulated.
Oh
really.
yeah,
And
definitely.
there are things that will say, oh, like you can get like a, I don't know. There's like tons of different little labels and things, but it's really just marketing and branding at this point. And a lot of times people are getting away with putting things on the label or even just leaving information off the labels. They are completely getting away with going under the radar because there really isn't anybody in there testing that. And eventually if like enough things go wrong, the government will step in and be like, something's fishy here, and then they'll check into it. And usually the brands just get pulled and that's all you ever hear of them. But as far as putting it on the shelf, you basically don't need anything.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So that's something you always thought it went through
Scary.
some kind of process.
No.
And
That is
I
scary.
feel like we've been definitely been victims of it. I mean, we'll see organic or we'll see these labels, like you said, and we're just like, that's the one. And then, like you said, they're kind of like gone off the shelves. We're like, wait, what happened to our product that we were using? And then we're like, wait, what were we putting in our bodies?
Kinda
Or they
like-
change the label and you're like, why have all of a sudden, did it say organic and now it doesn't, or whatever it is? And you're like, that's very confusing. And it's confusing because they're trying to like get away with it until they can't.
That makes sense. Because remember, Mike, I was taking that thermogenic pill. I know.
no.
I know. I should have never.
Right?
Knowing
It was
you,
bad.
like,
It
what's
was
wrong
bad.
with you?
Burning
Right?
alive every day.
Literally, I was like,
so wild.
mopping, and people were drinking out of cups. I was taking their cups. So, oh, you're done, right? Like he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, the cup's still there. Like they're still drinking the water. Like, but it
was confusing
like,
his brain
it
a
was
lot.
like on crack. Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh
the
my
weirdest
God,
thing
I
ever.
tried one of those one time and I was like, this is not for me. It was awful.
You're
it
all
was
jittery.
bad. It was bad. I had to take it away from him. I was like, no,
Yeah,
this is not good.
no more for me. And now I drink like Celsius, something a little bit leaner, cleaner to an extent. Because I heard about that too.
And you know, going back to Andy Frisell, he's a very direct, forward, you know, individual, and to be working for him for 7 years, you know, and being one of the representatives, you know, he doesn't let anything slip.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show how much work you're putting in as well, because again, like, you know, he even has his 75 hard, you know, you do one thing wrong, he will call you out. You know what I mean? It's not like you if you're working out outside, it has to be outside. You know what I mean? Like he is so on it, which is amazing. You know what I mean? I love that about him. And again, I just think that's so amazing for you to be part of this movement for this long, because it just shows how much hard work you're putting in as well, just like him and just like his company.
Yeah, they're like family to me now. And
That's
I feel
amazing.
like I wasn't there at the beginning. Obviously, they started over like 20 years ago.
Wow.
But for me, I feel like being around for nearly probably 7, maybe plus years, I feel like I've watched them grow. And likewise, I'm sure they've watched me grow in many ways. And I just feel like there really is a connection there that's like family at this point.
Definitely.
That's fascinating.
We keep talking about, you know, influencing and, you know, helping others, helping women, men, of all everyone, you know. But how do you handle, because you do have a huge following, you know, how do you handle, we always ask this question, you know, the haters, it's just one of those questions, because I'm sure you get DMs, and I like, what do you do when you get this stuff? Is it just like a block? Do you try to respond? How do you deal with all this?
Surprisingly, I feel like I don't get that many hater
Okay.
kind of
Oh, that's
messages.
great.
Love this.
I also don't really read my DMs.
Makes
I'm
sense.
really bad at
Yes.
even getting back
Okay.
to my ones that are like my friends
Yeah,
and stuff.
right. Love it,
I
love
just
it.
feel like because I don't know. You have to know where you're putting your energy. And for
I
me,
love
it's like
this.
I will go in, and if I do see like a weird comment or something that's
Yeah.
unhappy, if it,
Right.
I usually would just delete it. I don't
Right.
even block the person most of the time because
Got
it's not
it.
even always mean. It's just like I feel like they're going through something,
Right.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe that was their release,
Right.
but like for me, if it doesn't serve me, I'm like, I just don't want to look at it.
Love it.
But yeah, you just have to
I
figure
love
out where
it.
you're putting your energy. So I feel like I don't even really open myself up to that because I'm not opening like my
There you
greater
go.
DMs, like the
Yeah.
general DMs.
Okay.
Like no, I just I don't want to know.
Yeah.
And you know what?
exactly.
That's a great question, Mike, that you said that, because we don't get a lot of haters either.
Yeah.
Even though we do post a lot of interesting materials, but I think if you accept it, if you let it materialize, like if your mind manifests, oh, let's bring in haters in my life, I feel like then you're asking for it, and then you're bringing it to the universe.
Or like even reading it, like you said, like just reading it is almost
giving it energy.
Giving it
you are
energy. Yeah, so we do it exactly like you. You know, we don't have a huge following like you, but when we do get these messages once in a while, it's not even something where I will not even read maybe the first 3 words because I'm like, I just can't put my energy into it. So it'll just be something where I just delete and just move on with my day. Some people, they will read it and they get angry and they're like, oh my God.
Like, oh Lord.
You know, and everybody is their own person, but that's just how we do it as well. We just don't give it energy.
Yeah.
And that's what helps us, you know?
So Casey, going, we're going to go really into the past, right?
Okay.
So going to your upbringing.
Yeah.
So, you know, how did you grow up? And you brought in that your parents, were they born out of the country, or were they born here?
My mom was born in England, but
Oh,
she
wow.
lived here most of her life, and my dad was born here. So
There you go.
Fantastic. So how was your life? Like for us, we grew up in poverty. We had a very poor life. And again, it's okay. We've asked everybody this question.
Right.
It's okay if
Yeah.
you grew up as a billionaire, and it's okay if you grew up in the streets, right?
Yeah.
But how was your upbringing? Did you have your parents and siblings?
Yeah. So I have an older sister and then my parents, and we moved around a couple of times, but not much. But we always had a roof over our head. And so I think I didn't realize until I was like much older how much my parents particularly like struggled when we were kids. And there was a lot of things that they would have to like put me in like after school programs and like the Boys and Girls Club because that was free. And it was really awful for me growing up. And I didn't understand it. Like at the time I thought my parents were like mad at me or something.
Oh, yeah,
So I was like, it was
yeah.
not a good experience for me. But then when I got older, I realized it was like they were just really struggling and they had no other option.
Wow.
So we definitely didn't grow up with a lot, but I think to me, I felt comfortable. They always made a good point of like trying to make us feel like we didn't have to worry. And so I think that was what really resonated with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking back, now I realize like how much they really went through to try and make that seem that way.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so great because we're the same thing like with our kids. Mike might be different, and then you like to tell them like what we go through. I'm more of like, let's just show them the good life. I don't really want them to know too much.
Yeah.
But I know sometimes sharing some knowledge as to how the struggle is also good. So I don't know. What do you think about that, Mike?
I just love how you know, your mindset was, you know, that you had a roof over your head, you know, like that is just beautiful. It touches my heart because you were just happy that you had that roof over your head. You know what I mean? That just to me means everything. Not everyone will look at it like that. We did have our own upbringings that are a little tough, but you know, when you remind somebody like, hey, you did as a child, you grew up and you had a roof over your head. Sometimes that's all you need to get by. You know, I believe me and Eli and of course yourself, we're amazing people, and all we needed was that roof over our head to be these amazing people. You know.
Yeah. I think deeper than that, it was just like, I mean, it was obviously like having a safe place, but the safe place was really like my parents. Like they were providing that, but not providing they were providing the actual roof, but like it was more that they were providing a safe place for me. Like they just, for me and my sister, they just wanted us to feel not scared. Like obviously like there was like rough times and we like didn't maybe eat well or whatever it was, but they didn't want that to be how we felt growing up. And I feel like that's the biggest thing is like creating that safe space. And I'm sure your kids, like regardless of what you say to them or don't say to them, it's really how you're making them feel that's gonna like be what lasts with them, and what they see from their childhood is like being important.
Yes, exactly. I love that so much.
And that's amazing because obviously even our parents to this day probably feel Like even us as parents, we probably feel like, oh, maybe we didn't spend enough time with them. We're working so hard, but we just want to leave a good impression with them. Like, oh, they're really working hard, so they do love us.
I feel like that's an indication that you guys are good parents, because I think the main thing is when people worry. I think when you don't worry as a parent, like I'm not a parent, but like I think when you don't worry, that's when it's like you should be concerned. You know, the fact that you guys worry means that you genuinely, truly love your children.
Oh
and
yeah,
really care
absolutely.
about
Thank you so much. So guys, look, Casey Martin, Casey. So follow her on Casey Loves Fitness. She's amazing. She's written books. She's an influencer. She runs companies. She does everything that you can imagine. And honestly, like, I love your story. And everybody we've had on our podcast has something different to say. And
before we go, actually, I do have we have a couple more minutes. I don't want to end too quick.
Okay.
Just really quick, because I did, wear the whole space outfit. So like, where did
talk about it then.
So like, where did your like fascination with space come? Like aliens, all this stuff? Because I have to say, like, and whoever's watching, we're all our own people. But like, I truly believe like there's like aliens out there. And even recently, like the government that were like releasing like how they found like crafts with bodies inside of them of not of this world. And like, I don't know, all this stuff fascinates me so much. And like, maybe you could tell me why you're so fascinated with it.
It's aliens, but I also think it's just everything. I've always been super like creative and like my mind goes a million miles per minute. But I'm genuinely, people are like, oh, what are you thinking? It's so deep. Like most of the time it's not. I'm thinking about weird stuff. I'm like, what would aliens be doing right now? Or like, like are there other dimensions and like how many, I don't know. I think that I've just always been really intrigued with our purpose and like why we're here and how we're here and all those things. And I think the mysterious things like aliens and outer space and the things that it's like we can almost touch it, but we can never like fully get the answers. I think like that's what's really interesting to me about it. Like I love the concept of aliens and I do believe that there are probably multiple alien species and they've been here and all that. But I think overarching, it's really just the capacity of like we probably will never know the answers to so many of those things. And that's what's intriguing to me, because I was like, I like to learn. And so I'm like, I want to come up with all the theories possible because it's intriguing to me and it's like never ending. It's always changing. So I love that.
I love that so much.
Aliens, can you land in front of us so we can solve this puzzle?
I know. I've been asking them because I think it was Stephen Greer. I don't know if you guys got into
oh my God, we've seen like all his documentaries.
He was saying that like you can call, like we can telepathically, and I'm still waiting. I'm trying.
Oh my God,
like,
I say we call let's make a little triangle.
No, and I'm not even kidding. Like we literally, when the blue moon was out the other night, like we went and we were like watching it, and I was like, because you can, right? That's what they say. You can like call for them with like if you telepathically think about it, then they'll know. And so like we're driving home, and I was like, wouldn't it be crazy like if an alien just like ran in front of us? I was like, and I was like,
wants it to happen
on like the 101 freeway.
Right, exactly.
It's like midnight, like what's going on?
And then I was like, actually, wait, no, I don't want to see it because I'm not ready for it. Like, even though I'm so intrigued by it, I know like I'm one of those people that would be like so like, oh my God, what is this?
I am ready. If you're an alien,
there you go.
Okay, come to my house. I'm like, I feel like I literally would be the person that would completely, and I'm not even trying to sound insane because people are like, well, like if it really happened, would it be okay? And I'm like, no, I would be perfectly fine. I'd probably be the person that like accidentally like hugs them or something.
Oh
like it's like some infectious disease and lasts like one day. But I would still go out so happy. I'd be like, I hugged an alien.
Oh my God, I love it.
So come to my house.
There you go.
I was telling Mike, I want them to like literally take me to space and I'll come back in a month. Like, I just want to know what's out there.
He did say that.
Okay,
I mean, no probing.
No
probing.
Once you're ready.
Right. I'll let you know when I'm ready.
They'll be like my besties now. Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Because it's just so intriguing. Again, like I mean, even it just makes you think so much because even on the way here, we drove from the Inland Empire to Hollywood and it was about 2.5 hour drive. But
you did as well. You were driving.
Oh my God, no! I was like, I was pretty close.
She was like 5 minutes away.
I forgot.
But that's just us. We're so used to this. Is like we're real estate and loans. We love love driving and getting to places. But on the way here, you see so many like telephone poles and electric wires and all this stuff. And if you really look into these documentaries, it shows how like we're like 100 years behind. And just like my mind is just thinking the whole time, like my mind's just going. And I'm like, why are these electric poles here? And like, why? And my answers are all, I never really have the answers to it because I feel like we are 100 years behind. So, I would love to have the alien technology, but I think I'm just scared to see one. So, you know what I mean?
It's okay. We'll come back.
Right. Yeah. You guys go and let me know how it goes. Love
but
it.
Casey, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank
We
you
really
so much for having me.
It was so fun. We loved you so much.
For real, guys. So as usual, like our podcast gets released on Sunday, not this Sunday, but following Sunday at 7 p.m. Usually the best time on our verified YouTube channel. And we'll get a couple reels out for us to share some information about our podcast.
You have to read the Glute Bible. It is literally
oh my God, yes. It's going to pop up right here.
Yes.
Pop.
Right. It's helped Eli so much in his journey. So
okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to get like a picture of that.
Right. Before
looking at my glutes now.
There you go. Before and after.
Wow.
Loves it.
But seriously, guys, appreciate you guys. Follow up her, Casey Loves Fitness, on her Instagram. I think everybody follows you anyways. But we love her. And thanks you guys for watching. Seriously, can't wait to have more stories with you.
Yes, loves you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Loves it.
Bye, guys.
Ready to get beamed up now.
There you go. Right? We're like, hey, love it.